Picking which Hogwarts house you're in has been a debate since the beginning of Harry's journey almost 25 years ago, and with the rapidly approaching Hogwarts Legacy, it's no surprise that the age-old question has resurfaced: which house should you pick? In this video, I'll help you pick a house for your first playthrough of Hogwarts Legacy by ranking each of the houses based on the characters affiliated with it. Near the end of the video, I'll throw in a bit of speculation on where some of the characters that don't have a house may land, and if this would change my ranking, so make sure you stick around for that, and comment your house rankings below. Starting off with a rapid fire format of who is in each house. Gryffindor has Natsai Onai, Nellie Ogspire, Lucan Brattleby, Hector Jenkins or Weasley, whichever he ends up being, and familiar faces Nearly Headless Nick and the Fat Lady. Hufflepuff has Poppy Sweeting, the Fat Friar, and Professor Mirabelle Garlick. Slytherin has Sebastian Sallow, Neridia Roberts, Professor Black, Professor Sharp, and also Professor Ronan. Surprisingly enough, Ravenclaw has the most confirmed characters so far, with Zenobia Noke, Imelda, Everett, Astoria, Constance Dagworth, Amit Thacker, and Professor Dinah Hackett. I also wanted to list the unknown characters to give you a quick tease, but remember, we'll talk about them in just a bit. We have Professor Eleazar Fig, Leander Pruitt, the Flying Instructor, and Professor Onai. So where do I rank each of these houses? Following the same rapid-fire order, Gryffindor is up first. Taking out my personal house bias here, as I am a Gryffindor, there's a lot going on with the characters surrounding this house. Confirmed companion Natsai Onai seems to be a middle-of-the-road goody two-shoes character. Not the best companion, but not the worst. From what we've seen, she helps you with the Hippogriff escape mission, and her mom is a professor, but she isn't moving the needle for me. Now, Lucan Brattleby, on the other hand, is very interesting. He is one of the classmate characters that you can interact with, and he actually runs the Crosswands Dueling Club, which is pretty impressive. You can interact with him anytime you want to duel, practice spells, or even just level up a bit, so he seems like a pretty big part of the game. Hector Weasley, or Jenkins, has some mystery behind him, having two different names in two different videos, but that's all we see of him other than getting destroyed in a duel. The Fat Lady is a nice piece of lore to add to the entrance of the Gryffindor common room, and Nearly Headless Nick looks like a character that has an interesting quest line that potentially has something to do with finding out information about our ancient magic. Lastly, Nellie Ogspire is another quest-giving NPC that looks to give you, well, quests to complete, but it doesn't actually look like she'll be going with you on these adventures. Having a decent companion, 3 quest-giving NPCs including the man behind the dueling club, I would say Gryffindor gets ranked an A. Hufflepuff is interesting because we honestly know the least about their characters and there's only been a few confirmed. We see the Fat Friar in a trailer, but we don't know if he will actually give us any quests, although we can assume that he will. Poppy seems evil to me, but I'm under the impression that she will be more important to the game than we think, as Fantastic Beasts are playing a significantly larger role than expected, and caring for them is her backstory. Professor Mirabelle Garlick might be my favorite professor, and I love WB's inclusion of a staff member being part of the LGBTQ+ community, but I just don't know enough about these characters to rank Hufflepuff any higher than a low B. On the flip side, Slytherin has possibly the best character and companion in Sebastian Sallow. He can teach us Crucio as part of his questline. That's amazing. Neridia Roberts we know nothing about, and Professor Black should be the headmaster after Eupraxia Mole was confirmed to be the former headmistress, so that warrants a few points for Slytherin even though we don't know much about him. Professor Sharp is fully leaning into that Slytherin stereotype of being a dark and mysterious professor, and he was even a former Auror who wants to teach at Hogwarts with a hands-on approach. Professor Ronan is running from that Slytherin stereotype and is a charming charms professor that loves to joke and play games. Two amazingly different professors, the presumed headmaster of Hogwarts, and arguably the best companion in Sebastian Sallow. To me, it's a no-brainer. Slytherin has S-ranked characters. Ravenclaw is a lot like Hufflepuff, where we don't know that much about the characters, there are just more of them. Zenobia is a quest-giving NPC that tasks you to find her gobstones that are spread throughout the castle after fellow Ravenclaws Imelda, Everett, and Astoria steal them after she beats them because they're sore losers. That sounds just like every other teenager. She calls the 3 of them bullies, but I think Zenobia may be a bit of a bully herself that is up to no good. Constance Dagworth is much like Hector and Neridia, where we don't know anything about them. Amit seems like the Ravenclaw companion, but with some clever wording from WB, he may just be a quest-giving NPC. Either way, he seems to have a cool backstory as a Ravenclaw that aspires to be a famous wizarding historian. Our new Defense Against the Dark Arts professor Dinah Hackett uses a practical approach to teaching defensive magic, much like fake Professor Moody. She used to work in the Department of Mysteries, potentially as an unspeakable. Ravenclaw has an amazing professor, cool companion in Amit, but the lack of depth or knowledge for the rest of the characters earns them a B, slightly above Hufflepuff. To recap the rankings, we have Hufflepuff and Ravenclaw as a B, even though Ravenclaw slightly edges out Hufflepuff. Gryffindor is an A, and Slytherin gets an S. Let's take a look at the characters that haven't been assigned a house publicly and see if they could change the rankings at all. Professor Onai, Natsai's mother and our new divination professor, probably doesn't have a house affiliation as she came from another wizarding school, Wagadu, so she doesn't really affect these rankings. Leander Pruitt is another student that is called a bully by Zenobia Noak, and she doesn't really give very much information about him, but I just have a gut feeling that he may be a Slytherin. To be fair, I can't move the Slytherin rank for one bad character. I would need to see a few more. The flying instructor, which many of us thought was Imelda when the name first leaked, seems to be a Ravenclaw based on the robe choices, and Ravenclaws are generally stereotyped as bookworms, so it would be cool to see Avalanche break this stereotype again, just like Professor Ronan, and give Ravenclaw a sporty or jock character. Having a nice character like this would definitely move Ravenclaw up to an A rank. Lastly, but certainly not least, Professor Fig. He seems to play such a large role at the beginning of the game that any house that he could be associated with would move up in ranking even if he's the true villain. It's been floated out there for the past few months that he may be the head of Ravenclaw House, and if he is, Ravenclaw would probably move up to an A rank, even passing Gryffindor. I think he will play a huge role in the story, good or bad, and I'm super excited to find out in February. I'll definitely be ranking the houses and characters again once the game is officially out, but until then, here are a few Hogwarts Legacy videos for you to pass the time. Thank you for watching, I'll see you in the next video.